What's up? This is That's Enough. He's Steve Hofstetter. I'm Mike Janella. It's the show where we talk about the sports topics that we can stop talking about. And we do it in 15 minutes or less because we know you're busy. Steve, this is our first legit episode. No trailer. This is the real deal. How you feeling about two more white guys starting a sports podcast?
You know what? I think it's a matter of time. Our voices just aren't heard as much. It's really just they've been trying to keep us down this whole time.
Finally, we have rectified this glaring omission of marginalized voices. No, we appreciate you guys being here with us. It is our first episode, and like we said in the trailer, if you missed it, this is just stuff that is happening in the sports world, whether topical or in general, that we've had enough of. We want to see an end to, and we try and keep it quick because 3-hour sports podcasts we've had enough of those too. We're going to start with something that's been on my mind. And I know we're a little bit late to this because baseball's been on for 10 days now at this point, or even longer. No, because the Dodgers and Cubs played back in mid-March. But
that doesn't count. That was just a weird way to give the Dodgers 2 wins to start the season.
poor Dodgers, or poor Cubs, I should say. No one's saying poor Dodgers. And that's my point. Because since the beginning of this offseason, everyone has already made the Dodgers World Series champions for a second straight year. And it didn't matter how the Dodgers started the season. It didn't matter if they went 10-0 out of the gate. Didn't matter if they went 0-10 out of the gate. Doesn't matter what they're going to do over the next week. Famously, baseball, no one really checks in until Memorial Day with stats and standings and things like that. But the Dodgers were so crowned back-to-back World Series champs before spring training even started. And it's too late to say that's enough for this season because the season already began. But Steve, have we not learned over the course of just modern sports history how A, hard it is to win, especially in baseball, and B, how many things can go wrong? Injuries or, things that we never know about, card games gone wrong on the plane or relationships that have frayed. The Dodgers, I saved these screenshots from before opening day. According to FanDuel, they were a plus 240 favorite to win the World Series, which means if you bet $100, you would win 240. The next best team was the Braves at plus 850. That's a 610 point difference, let's say. I looked up NFL next year. The Eagles are the favorites already to be Super Bowl champs, but there are 5 other teams between the Eagles and down to the Lions that are within the same range as between the Dodgers and the second best team, the Braves. That chasm should not be that big in a professional sport. Or do you think the Dodgers are so good they have amassed such a roster that all this talk is okay?
Look, they have a hell of a roster, obviously. But also, haven't we seen 15 years of the Dodgers having a hell of a roster where they've only won 1.5 World Series?
Like, 1.5.
Haven't we seen it? Didn't we see that with the Braves in the 90s? Like, where, again, 15 years straight of being completely dominant and then just disappearing in October. And what did the Braves end up with? 1 World Series out of that? The Atlanta Braves.
95.
Yeah. The Atlanta Braves, have as many World Series as the Boston Braves. But the idea that, like, it's a lock, no team in any sport is a lock to win beforehand. Are the Dodgers favored? Sure. Do they have a great roster? Absolutely. They showed a ton of team chemistry last year? Yes. They seemingly can replace injured players with young players that nobody has heard of before at an alarming clip. However, that doesn't mean they are going to win. And so believing that they are an absolute lock flies in the face of everything we know about sports.
And it's just not even being good and falling short like the 90s Braves, but remember when the 2016 Cubs were supposed to be the next great dynasty? They had Chris Bryant, they had Schwarber, they had Rizzo, they had Baez, they had all this pitching talent. They got their 1 World Series, which everyone in Chicago is happy with for the rest of their lives. But we all thought, Cubs are going to win 4 of the next 5. And they fell off the map is where they went. And it's not just baseball.
Chris Bryant, I'm unfamiliar. Is he a baseball player?
But
See,
I think he's stocking shirts for the Rockies clubhouse these days.
oh my God, yeah.
Unfortunately,
Whoa.
um, which I love. I loved Chris Bryant. I love the what was the commercials they used to do, him and Rizzo, when they were like the
Yeah.
home run guy. I thought he was going to be the face of baseball. Like him and Trout, I thought were going to be the two next dudes. And
And
Trout was
Javi
for a while.
Baez, and I mean, there are so many players that were going to be incredible. And the one player that didn't matter to that team was Schwarber. And he's probably the one that is doing
Best
the best
career.
right now.
Yeah, it's insane. But it's not just baseball. Like remember the LeBron Heat. They were supposed to win 6 or 7. LeBron even said it himself, and they lost the first one out there, and they lost again to the Spurs. Or when Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden were all on the same Thunder team. Those are 3 of the top 15 players of their generation, and they never even made it to a second finals. So I think we've seen enough in sports. And to go back to baseball, I mean, look at that run. The Nationals were a wild card team when they won the World Series. Phillies were a wild card team when they made it the World Series. Like, there's too much variance in baseball over a long season. We saw Mookie Betts with his food illness thing around the Tokyo trip. Too much can go wrong and too much can change. And you can say the Dodgers are favorite, absolutely. But I feel like there was this general, before the season started, resignation to the fact that why are we even playing the games? They've assembled a juggernaut that like the sport has never seen. And I think we just have to, no matter what sport or what team moving forward, the Patriots and the Giants, right? That Super Bowl,
100%
maybe the
was going to
greatest
bring that
example
up.
of all. Yeah.
Yep. The Patriots
We've learned
win.
enough.
They won out 16-0. They almost lost to the Giants in the last week. And then they end up losing to the Giants in the Super Bowl with a catch from someone who no one even knew was on the roster. Like that.
And never played a game for the Giants again.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, David Tyree, who I've co-hosted stuff with before. I love DT. But yeah, I just think especially for fans that are like so like defeatist, like I don't think Mets fans were feeling this offseason, but I do talk to some other fan bases, people like Cubs fans. Like, yeah, what's the point? Dodgers, like, what are we gonna do? We've seen enough that there's plenty you can do. You don't have to worry about your team already being ruled out of it before opening day, no matter who it is.
Well,
You have something else. Yeah, you have something else about that. But first, I think you have, Steve, not an ad read. This is something we're going to do every episode. These are not real advertisements by brands who do not sponsor us. So don't sue us. Steve, what do you got?
we just want you to sponsor us, and we want to show that we have a wonderful sense of humor. So our not sponsor this week is Dude Wipes. Are you a self-described alpha male who likes having a wet ass and clogged plumbing? Boy, do we have the product for you. Dude Wipes, available now.
Again, this was not an ad, but it can be if you want to write. Go ahead.
I will say, though, Dude Wipes, brilliant marketing, because they were like, how do we market a product to people who are genuinely stupid and self-conscious? Oh, this is how.
So I'm not going to go that far because I have good friends who do use the Dude Wipes. And you guys
everybody does.
Right, not everybody.
But the idea that someone's like, I can't use Cottonelle wipes. Those aren't for dudes. These are for dudes.
Yeah. I wonder if there are have they done like a chick wipes or something? Have they branched off with their branding? I don't know. We'll go into it. Again, that was not an ad read, but it could be. If you want to write our ads for us and we say what you want, reach out to us at That's Enough Show on social media or that'senoughshow@gmail.com. So I was talking about how some teams shouldn't be giving up on the season before the season just because one team seems to have already been crowned champs. Steve, you got the flip side of this coin this week?
I think some should. Look, all right. I don't think any team is ever a lock because the idea of being the 1 in 30 that ends up winning it all, those are tough odds, no matter how well your team is stacked. But being 29 of those 30, pretty good odds. And
better odds.
Yeah, the teams at the bottom of that pack, like there is no sensible Rockies fan that looks at this season or Nationals fan that looks at this season and goes, this is the one. There's no, okay, my wife's favorite hockey team, she's from Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, you know what? They are fighting for their lives for a playoff spot, or I guess by this time, it's probably over. But they spent most of the season on the bubble. Still no. There is no way in hell that from the beginning of the season to the middle of the season to the end of the season, the Columbus Blue Jackets could even sniff the Stanley Cup this year. And that's okay. It's not going to happen every year. And I will tell you, as a politically progressive comedian, I have written about a lot of things that have angered a lot of people. I have never gotten as many death threats and hate mail as when I wrote an article for Sports Illustrated about this topic. And this was when the Rays were coming out of like a 68 win season, I think, and saying that if you're a Rays fan, like, it's okay, it's not going to happen this year, and that's okay. I got so many people mad at me and sending me just more than anything I've ever written in my life.
I'm pulling up here. So The Athletic, remember they did a season preview article before opening day. The path, how every MLB team could make the playoffs this year. And this is going against what you're saying, this bit of delusion. So I pulled up the Rockies, who are projected to lose 107 games this year. That was their preseason projection from PECOTA. And this is what they said. So the Rockies would need to exceed expectations by 30-plus games. They would need people like Ezekiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle to become top 10 MVP finishers. Michael Toglia to hit for some power but get on base more. Chris Bryant, second time we're name dropping him, playing more than half the game. And their trio of pitchers, Freeland, Marquez, Senzatella, turning back the clock in their rotations. Like so many of these, it's probably too much to really ponder. I'd say that's being kind to say that, because unfortunately, I think Rockies are not making the playoffs this year.
If you're a White Sox fan, their path to the playoffs this year is a meteor wiping off the rest of the team. Like, there comes a certain point where you just understand it's a rebuilding year and have fun with it. And every now and then, I mean, we saw it with the Mets last year. Every now and then, a team puts it together and has a shot. Now, they still didn't win it. They didn't even make the World Series. They came close. And it ended up being fun because we had such low expectations. If we had high expectations for the Mets last year, it would not have been fun.
And you also have to find, along that same way, other things to root for in a season. If the only reason you're a sports fan or follow a team is for them to win the title that year, like you said earlier, the odds are very good you're going to be disappointed. 29-30 or 31-32 or whatever the league size is. So especially if you're in contention, that's great. You can still consider an LCS trip or a conference semifinals trip a success. But if you're one of these teams, like in baseball this year, the Rockies, the Marlins, the White Sox, find other things to be happy about. The prospect that shows promise, the opposing team that comes to town that you want to go see. You've never seen Shohei Ohtani play before. The crazy, kooky broadcasters, the fun giveaways. Like, you got to learn other ways to enjoy yourself, because for a lot of you might have to just come to that realization that it ain't your year.
All right.
Well, our promise is to try and keep these under 15 minutes all the time, like we said. So we got about a minute left. But as a first episode wrap up, Steve, anything you want people to know about you or where else they can find you, or anything you want to plug? We won't do this every episode, but it's our first one, so we're just trying to get it all out there.
Just at Steve Hofstetter on all social media, but more so, I'm excited about being able to do this show. I don't get to do sports as often as I'd like, and so keep following, keep watching.
All right, and I'm Mike Janella, just my name, on all socials as well, so give us a follow. We also have brand new accounts for the show itself. That's Enough Show, all one word. We are all over the place. So find us at thatsenoughshow@gmail.com. You have any topics or things you want us to talk about, or tell us how terrible we are, we'll take that too. But otherwise, I'm glad to have you here, Steve. We go back almost 10 years now at this point. You were a guest on a talk show of mine in San Diego. We've stayed in touch over the years, so I'm pumped to be able to do this every week with you, and hope that you people listening or watching enjoy it too. I think we're good.
All right.
I thought you were going to say something there. There we go. Perfect. We're going to iron out the kinks on this on episode 6 when we move forward. Thanks for listening.
I thought that was an off-air thing.
No, we're still on air. Let me wrap this now. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you this time. For now, that's enough. Now we can go off air.